Well, good afternoon, folks. My name is Kyle Finley. I own and operate Liveline Demo Incorporated. I spent about 18 years at the power company. I quit my job January 1st of '98 and started a Liveline Demo as a hobby safety business. I'm a grain farmer, East Central Illinois. I needed time off in the spring and the fall to do my farming. A little tough when you're a lineman, so I quit my lineman's job, started this. Little did I know, all these years later, I've been in 13 states, speak all over the Midwest doing electrical safety training, thanks to a lot of my electric utilities that sponsor me and do events and different businesses that are involved. And today, Energy Education Council. If you notice at the Illinois State Fair, we're sponsored by Energy Education Council, safeelectricity.org. So we do want to thank them. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank them very much. All right, get ready, you guys. I will talk pretty fast. When you get up in the morning, you flip up the light switch, what happens? The lights come on. Now, before those lights ever come on, we've had to produce the electricity, step it up to high voltage, shoot it across the country on a transmission line. Now, once that electricity comes into your hometown area, we have to step that voltage down. So we run through a series of substations and lower the voltage. We get it stepped down to 12,470 volts. That's measured from hot wire to hot wire. From one hot wire to ground, 7,200 volts of electricity. Folks, that's what's running up and down your city street, your country road. When you look at that wire in front of your house, behind your house, there's 7,200 volts of electricity on that wire. You can't hear it, you can't smell it, you can't see it. Oh, you can see the wire, but you can't see the electrons. Folks, I'm going to have that same kind of voltage up here on the top hot wire on the safety unit, 7,200 volts right here in this tent. Now, once we get that electricity to your house, we have to step it down once again, and we run it into your household wall outlets. First question, how many volts of electricity are in a wall outlet? 120 volts of electricity. The #1 killer of electrocutions in the United States is what voltage? 120 volts. Parents, grandparents, I want you to ask your kids. I don't care if that kid's a senior in high school, they can probably not tell us that there's 120 volts of electricity in a wall outlet because we're not teaching this at school anymore, and you're not doing a very good job teaching this at home. Folks, the #1 killer is 120 volts. We do need to teach our kids, and we better start at a young age today. That 4-year-old grabs up the video game, goes to plug in the video game. How big is the finger bone of a 4-year-old? Really small. That child lays his little finger across those metal blades, pushes in, makes contact. In the right situation, can 120 volts cost that kid its life? Maybe hurt him? You betcha. Tell you what, that 4-year-old can play a video game a lot better than a lot of you adults can. They are smart enough to know at least the basics, if you teach them that about a wall outlet, how to plug things in properly, never touch the metal blades when they go to plug it in. Now, what about an infant? What about the 18-month-old, the 2-year-old? They're really not old enough yet to be able to teach them about this, so we need to protect them. How do you protect them? Well, you buy the safety caps and you cover up every single wall outlet throughout your home, and don't you forget about the one behind the couch, behind the bed. When that 2-year-old crawls off behind the couch, shoves a paper clip, the car key into the wrong hole, if that child's knees are on the metal floor register, that metal register is grounded. Kids, where does electricity always want to go? Home. You give electricity a path to home, path to ground, it's going to take it. The child doesn't understand that little 18-month-old, they're only playing a game. They just went to stick something in that hole. That paper clip or car key could be their life if they're on that metal register. Folks, do us a favor. Buy the safety caps, cover up the wall outlets. I got a better idea. This outlet I'm holding up right here is called a tamper-resistant outlet. Has little plastic covers off behind the faceplate. If I take my key and try to shove it in there, it will not go in. But if I take a plug-in that has 2 prongs on that thing, straight blades, watch what happens when I plug that in. It goes right in. These tamper-resistant outlets are part of the '08 National Electrical Code changes. These are supposed to be in a new house, a remodeled home. You know what these cost? $1.19 at your local hardware store. Folks, pretty cheap investment. Try to protect the kids from 120 volts electricity. I think it's a lot better than the safety caps that we have to kind of pull out. Well, that's what we're going to start off with today. So I'll put on my safety equipment. We're going to reach back here, flip on the switch, and let's see if we get my lights on. As I flip that switch, my lights come on. When I step away, the lights go off. Folks, I built and designed this safety unit. It's also designed to protect me, because if I step back here and get in too close, what happens? Shuts off. We turn on that porch light right there. That's 120 volts electricity to turn on that light bulb. We also turn on these 2 light bulbs. When the electricity gets to your house from your electric utility, it runs through your electric meter, through your circuit breaker box. As the 120 volts goes through the 20 amp breaker, feeds the power to this outlet, feeds to the red light bulb. It also feeds the 120 volts to this outlet and to the white light bulb. Folks, there's a big difference between those 2 outlets. The one over here on your right with the white light bulb, it's called a ground fault interrupter receptacle. Now, some of you have a GFI outlet in your bathroom. Do you understand them? Will they protect you? How do they really work? Let's find out. This morning, that 8-year-old slides down the bathtub to get cleaned up. The 6-year-old trips over the blow dryer cord, yanks the blow dryer right off the bathroom sink, splashes into the bathtub with the 8-year-old. Electricity, water, and the child's body. Do the three mix? Not at all. You know what? Tell you what, that child laying there in the bathtub, same as this situation I've got up here with the hot dog. That moist skin of the hot dog is the moist skin of the child laying there in the bathtub when that blow dryer accidentally splashes in the water. What happened to that white light bulb? Went out instantly. The ground fault outlet shut the power off in a fraction of a second and saved that child's life because it was in their bathroom. Let's change it. You get home from the Illinois State Fair today. You slide down that old bathtub to get cleaned up. You reach over, you pull the towel off the bathroom sink. You know that old clock radio that you have? It's plugged into a regular outlet, not a ground fault outlet. As that radio splashes in the bathtub with your body, I want you to imagine the hot dog up here, it's you. As you're laying there in the bathtub, here comes that clock radio. Red light bulb shut off yet? And it won't. That circuit breaker in the electrical breaker box is not designed to protect a human being. That is a 20 amp Fulton overload device. It takes a fraction of 1 amp of electrical current to take our life. What would have protected us? Ground fault outlet. Ground fault outlet trips with a difference of 5 milliamps. It takes about 50 milliamps for us to be electrocuted. Folks, these things need to be in your bathroom, in and around your kitchen sink, your outdoor outlets, your garage outlets. Farmers, how about your tool shed? Because guess what's in my tool shed? Ground fault outlets. And you guys, if we did an electrical inspection at your home, would we find ground fault outlets in all those wet locations like we're supposed to? Some of you maybe, most of you not. And here's what happens. Things like this. The Caitlin McKenzie picture on this bookmark. Caitlin got out of a pool at the age of 12 years old, reached down, grabbed up a lamp to turn it around to the trampoline. That's where they found Caitlin with her hand wrapped around that lamp, electrocuted. What would have saved Caitlin's life? Ground fault outlet. You guys, get these things installed. They will save lives. We really don't want to have your picture on this bookmark. We do want to thank the McKenzie family for all that they do with Safe Electricity to try to educate you guys about having ground faults in all those wet locations. Second pole, I have a Square D fuse disconnect. This fuse disconnect has a red and white warning card that says, danger, do not operate. Sir, what's your first name? Randy walks up this electrical box and he says, oh, our maintenance guy forgot to pull off the hold card. He knows we got to have this piece of equipment to work today at work. So Randy just reaches up there, grabs a hold of that handle. He shoves up on the handle, turn the power on. Oh, now that kind of didn't pop too good there, Randy. The smoke comes out. Randy, I've got that rigged up so it has a little pop, a little poof. In the real world, Randy, that's nothing. When that cabinet blows up, the molten metal, the fireball that shoots out of there, if Randy survives this arc blast, he's probably blind. Let me tell you, the employee that put that red and white warning card up there, if they work for me, they're fired. It's called a lockout tagout program. You put a card up there with a name, a date, a reason, and a padlock. Where does the key go? Right here in my pocket. You guys, lockout tagout's the law in the United States of America. And I don't care if the kids work at McDonald's, Subway, sandwich shop, it is the law. If I'm doing a business program, folks, we'll go through arc flash training, NFPA 70E. We don't have time for that here at the State Fair. Randy, when we walk up to the electrical box, and ladies, when you walk up that electrical box at home, we go to turn on the circuit breaker in the breaker box at home. We go to turn on maybe a disconnect box. As we grab that circuit breaker, grab that disconnect box, where is the stupidest possible place to stand? In front of it. It's called step away, look away. Because if you ever saw one of these little circuit breakers fault, you'd never stand in front of another one. So you grab that handle, you step, you look away. Let's protect what's important, our face, our chest. Now, if I did an electrical inspection at your home, is the cover on or off your electrical box? If the cover is off your electrical box, do you think the kids understand electricity? They can't hear it, they can't smell it, they can't see it. They stick their fingers in there, could they be electrocuted? You betcha. Let alone if one little spark shoots out of that electrical box, your home could catch on fire today just because the cover was not on your electrical box. Folks, do us a favor. Let's cover up the electrical boxes properly around home, work, and the family farms. We're going to move down the unit to the last pole. Your electric utilities, they feed 7,200 volts electricity through their wires. We get to your house, we run that electricity through a transformer, we step it down to 120 volts, turn on the porch light. Now kids, what do you notice on top of my transformer there this afternoon? See my little pet squirrel? Oh, Rocky, he's pretty sharp. On a chilly morning, he plops his rear end down on top of that transformer and says, ooh, baby, that feels good. You know, they're smart enough to know it's warm up there. So he finally gets warmed up, and he decides to run down the wires to go visit his buddies on down the line, all right? Oh, now, you guys, that's simulated, because if I blew a real line fuse in this tent, you talk about loud. They're really loud. Now, And so early in the morning at the power company, the call will come in that somebody heard a big bang in the backyard, don't have any lights. Early in the morning, we know that's probably going to be a squirrel call. If that call comes in about midnight tonight, that's either a raccoon or your pet kitty cat. Why? They'll do the same thing. They get on top of that metal case. That metal case is grounded. When their nose or tail touches that wire, their body's a path to ground. So it blows the line fuse, and a lot of times they're live too. Now, we do a lot of things to the utility to try to prevent that, but the squirrels and raccoons, kind of curious creatures, they seem to get around our safety equipment. So we've got to send the lineman out there to change out what we call an expulsion fuse. He'll lift up that fuse barrel. We're going to change out the fuse wire that's inside the barrel. Now, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to change out the whole fuse barrel, and let's see if we can get your lights back on. So as I lay the barrel back up in there, close it in, the lights come back on. You know what, that's really simple for a lineman. The only problem is the kids watch that lineman magically turn the lights on with a yellow or an orange fiberglass hot stick. What color shovel, broom handle stands in the corner of your garage? Yellow, orange, is it the same as ours? No. Don't ever stick anything up around our electrical equipment whatsoever. Call your utility, they'll be glad to send out their professionals to get it properly restored with your power. Now this little squirrel caused another problem that you're all well aware of. When you get home today from the Illinois State Fair, you walk in the house and those digital clocks are going blinkety, blinkety, blink, and you think, man, I hate that stupid power company. Why do we have to reset the digital clocks? Actually, it's quite simple. When this little squirrel gets up here and he blows that line fuse, before that fuse ever exploded, what you didn't hear was miles away, possibly, our breaker operate. It's called an oil circuit recloser. That circuit breaker shuts the power off and on real fast, then this fuse blows. Now that customer right there, they don't have any electricity. All you neighbors, you've got to reset the digital clocks because the breaker protected the system from spikes, faults, and overload by shutting it off momentarily, and then that fuse blows. Well, that's what we call a temporary fault. Let's change it. Instead of being my little pet squirrel today, let's say that my ground jumper is an oak tree. As that oak tree falls through the power line, now don't plug your ears, the breaker's really quiet back here. As that oak tree falls through the power line, click, click, click. That's your lights blinking off and on at home. Get ready. Clunk. The handle drops down that breaker as it does. The phone lines light up the electric utility. As those calls are coming in, the dispatcher answering the phone finally realizes that we've got circuit 122 without power. So Molly calls me up and says, hey Kyle, you need to rush out there, patrol circuit 122. We've got a big outage going on. Sure, Molly, give me just a moment. Ma'am, I need a hand. Would you come on up there and give me a hand? Come on up. Have a seat right there. What's your first name?
Sarah.
Sarah, hold on to that wire for me. Now, she grabbed that wire right up, didn't she? Now, you guys, I'll tell you what, as an audience, I need you guys to pay really pretty close attention. Sarah, I want you to pay ridiculous attention to detail. Everything I tell you to do exactly as I say. Let me see the wire. You guys, I've taken the rubber coating on that wire, I've stripped it. I've got the bare copper wires twisted together. Sarah, what I want you to do, I want you to take those bare copper wires, I want you to put those between your right thumb and your finger and squeeze onto that. You ought to see her eyes looking at me like, you can't be serious. Hold on to that wire. All right, take your left hand, hold on right here. Now lean back just a little bit. Raise your feet up off the ground a little bit. There you go. You guys, I have this young lady on a vinyl plastic chair. She is not a path to ground. Everybody agree with that? Sarah is not a path to ground. Sarah, when you feel the shock of electricity on that wire, she goes, oh, you're right. Yeah, when you feel the shock of electricity on that wire, I want you to tell me instantly. Hold it. You guys, how fast does electricity travel? Electricity travels at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. So what I want you guys to do, I want you to keep an eye on Sarah's hair color and her facial expression. Now, Sarah, remember I said details. What's going to happen here when the electricity gets into that copper wire? Muscles are going to contract. Your hand's going to quiver and shake. Do not drop that wire on your lap. And no matter what happens here, you cannot create a path to ground. Do not let your feet touch the ground. Now, you guys, what I want you to do, I want you to watch Sarah. And when you see her right hand start to quiver and to shake, glance at her facial expression. Don't drop the wire on your lap and don't drop your feet onto the ground. You guys, keep an eye on Sarah's facial expression. You ready? Yeah, 3, 2, 1, here we go. You know, Sarah, I'm jacking with you all the way. You look ridiculous. Put your feet down. Put your feet down. You guys, you're fine. Sit there and relax. All right, just sit there and relax. All right, there you go. Stay with me on this. You guys, a lineman gets out there. We get to the breaker. Sure enough, the handle's down. We know there's no power past that breaker. We know that we're going to have to patrol that line. We're driving down the road looking up at the wires. We finally find the problem. We find the tree that fell into that power line. So we go up, we cut the branches off that tree, push it back in the clear, straighten the wires back out. We call back to the office and I'll say, hey, Molly, I found the problem. There's a tree in the power line. I got that taken care of. I've got another 3 miles of wire to look at. I'll call you back in 20 minutes. Molly hollers at me on the radio and says, Kyle, we have an emergency. Hospital called in. They cannot get their backup generator started. They're going to lose somebody on the operating table if they don't get power right away. What do you think? Well, I'm sure the tree was the problem. I had the wires twisted together. I've got that taken care of. Why don't you close the breaker for me back at the office? Folks, for years, us linemen had to physically go back to that circuit breaker and close it in. Today, we can buy the breakers that are automated. That means the dispatcher could say, Kyle, that line's coming hot. Hits a computer button. How fast electricity travel? 186,000 miles per second, speed of light. What I didn't know, this young lady around the corner from where I was at had went off the road, down through the ditch, hit the utility pole, broke it off. The wires are across Sarah's car, out across the grass. Sarah, that wire you're holding on to, you feel anything? Nope.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Hear anything? Smell anything? Nothing at all. She sees the wire across the hood, across the grass. The wire is not arcing, sparking, or smoking. Sarah says, well, the wire's on the ground. It's got to be dead. She opens up her car door and steps out of her car. Boom! 7,200 volts electricity through this young lady's body at the speed of light. Why? She created a path to ground. Was Sarah okay inside the vehicle? Yeah, in the vehicle, you're not a path. Because if you'd been a path, you won't know what hit you. It's happened so fast. You're fine in that vehicle. And Sarah, if somebody tells you, oh, don't touch anything, think about that stupid statement, folks. Don't touch anything. When I'm sitting in my pickup truck, my rear end's on the seat, my feet's on the floorboard, my hands are wrapped around the steering wheel. I think I'm touching plenty, don't you? Yeah, guess what? I'm part of the overall vehicle. Sarah, you're fine in that vehicle. You can put a CD in the CD player. She can hop in the back seat. Don't get out of that car. Stay in the car. Sarah makes a mistake, though. She puts her vehicle in reverse, and as she backs up, that wire catches the fender of the bumper, snaps off a 40-foot tall utility pole. When that 400-pound transformer comes through the windshield, it's not going to be very pretty. Do not move your vehicle, folks. Grab up the phone, call 911. When the police or the firemen get there, can they go get Sarah out of that vehicle? You can't hear, smell, or see electricity. They don't know if that wire's hot or not. They have to block off the road, keep everybody back away from our vehicle till we get the power company there to de-energize and ground that wire. Safest place for Sarah to be is in the car. Stay in the car, stay in the car, stay in the car. Let's change it. Let's take Sarah's car and let's flip that car over. That car lands upside down the ditch on the metal roof, and when that metal 7,200 volt power line falls across the bottom metal frame of Sarah's car, is Sarah okay inside her car now? Yep. Rubber tires have absolutely nothing to do with it. You guys, that's the biggest myth that was ever out there. The rubber tires are not what's protecting you whatsoever, and I can actually prove that pretty simple. When you see the bird up here on the wire, the bird on my wire is on a copper wire. In the real world out there today, you guys, as that bird's flying along, that bird lands on our 7,200 volt power line, which is a bare copper or a bare aluminum wire. Very few of our wires have a coating on it at high voltage, and if it does, we call it weatherproofing, not insulation. That bird wraps his little bare feet around 7,200 volts. That bird is at one wire, one voltage, and not a path to ground. Is that bird energized? Oh yeah, that bird's energized, but the bird doesn't know it's energized because there's no flow of electricity through the bird. Bird's at one voltage. Sarah, you're what we call a bird on a wire effect. She's energized in that car. She doesn't know she's energized. She sticks her arm out the broken window to crawl out. Bam! 7,200 volts through her body at speed of light. Once again, was Sarah okay inside the vehicle? Yeah, stay in the vehicle, please. Grab up that phone, call 911. Let's turn Sarah's vehicle back over. You guys thought the rubber tires was protecting you? Let's think about it this way. Sarah is sitting in a vehicle with 4 rubber tires on the ground. She's in a metal car. When that metal 7,200 volt power line falls out of the sky, that metal wire falls on your metal vehicle. Sarah, as soon as I tap your shoulder, you feel that instantly, don't you? Guess what, folks? When that 7,200 volt power line touches the semi, the combine, the pickup truck, your car, when that metal wire touches that metal vehicle, electricity travels at 186,000 miles per second. How quick was that vehicle energized? Before you can blink. Did the fuse blow? Did the breaker trip? There's no way for you to know, so guess what? Stay in there, grab up the phone, call 911. You don't know if that wire's hot or not. Well, Sarah's got the fire department there. They got the road blocked off, and I don't care how bad this young lady's hurt, we can't go to assist her till we get there to shut the electricity off and ground that wire. So the safest place for Sarah to be is inside the vehicle. And all of a sudden, we have a problem. Sarah begins to smell something. the tires arc, flash, and catch on fire. Now, Sarah, if you sit in a burning vehicle, you're going to burn up and die. You cannot stay in a burning vehicle, folks, because they burn up really quick. She's going to have to exit the vehicle. If Sarah opens up the door and steps out of the car, she's going to get electrocuted, because what do you think caught the tires on fire? Electricity. She can't step out of that car. Sarah, you're going to have to be like the bird. You're going to have to fly away. Now, hold it. When the bird flies off the wire, you guys, does the electricity follow the bird? No, the bird just safely flies away. Sarah, I don't think you can fly. So the next best thing, get ready. She gets the door opened up, kicked open. She gets ready. She jumps out of her car and she says, whew, I made it. And she takes a step to walk away. Boom, electricity kills her. What? You guys, when 7,200 volts electricity goes into the ground, does that electricity disappear or dissipate? It dissipates. You throw a rock in a mud puddle, what do you see? Ripples. Electricity does the same thing. Sarah, you could have jumped out of the car, landed in a 5,000 volt zone of electricity. As long as her feet are together, she's at one point of contact. Electrical current cannot flow through one point of contact. It takes a second point of contact to another voltage or path to ground. Sarah's at 5,000 volts. She picks her foot up. She's okay. She sets her foot down a different voltage zone. That difference in voltage is current flow, and current flow is what kills us. So, folks, if you ever had to get out of a burning vehicle, and that's the only time to do it is if it's burning, you have to jump out, land with your feet together. Sarah, you got to do something that looks a little stupid. It's called the bunny hop. She goes hopping down the road. She gets here to the fairgrounds, and it's like, yeah, how far do you hop? Folks, we really don't know how far to tell you to hop. Why? Did that electricity get into the steel culvert, the guardrail, the chain link fence, the woven wire fence, the steel rebar, and the concrete? When it lands on a manhole cover, where's it going? We really don't know. So guess what? 98% odds are the vehicle is not on fire. We only catch the vehicles on fire about 2% of the time. Folks, do us a favor. Stay in the vehicle, because most of the time they're not on fire. If it's on fire, you have to do it the proper way. Jump out, hop away safely. Most of the time they're not on fire, so let's stay in that vehicle. Tonight, on Sarah's way home, it's dark outside. Maybe she stayed for the concert. Might be midnight. She's heading home, and she gets a text message on her phone. She grabs up her phone. She responds to that text message. Boom! She just hit a utility pole. Sarah's like, oh no, what did I do to my car? She hit a utility pole. She opens up the door, and she gets out. It's dark outside. Nothing happened. The wire was not touching her car. Sarah is just fine. So Sarah walks around her car. She gets to the front bumper of her car. Wham! Chest high. She bumps into that 7,200 volt power line. Think she's going to survive that? Where was the safest place to be? In the vehicle. What caused this accident? Texting. Young people, this is an alarming rate that you're having wrecks at because of this phone. This stupid phone is costing a lot of lives, accidents and stuff. Put it up. Quit texting. Put it in the console. Put it in the glove box. Take it out of your thumbs, or that emergency responder is taking that phone out of your car and giving the phone, because Sarah, my boys are of an age, probably 70 years. Us parents that buy our kids these phones, we think that it's a great thing. It is. But the problem is, if this was my daughter and I lost her life tonight because of that phone, tonight I take that phone, I stomp on that phone, I grind it into the concrete as I'm bawling my head off because I've lost a child because of a cell phone. Quit texting and driving. Let's pay attention out there as we're driving, because we're having way too many of these crashes. You hit that utility pole, where's the safest place to be? In the car. Sarah, I'm ready to re-energize 7,200 volts electricity. You better give me that wire back. Give her a big round of applause for being a good sport. Thank you very much. You guys, tonight, let's say a little storm passes through the area. You get home and that phone wire, the cable television wire, is laying right across your yard. You reach down, you pick up that wire. Where's the other end of this wire right now? Over that 7,200 volt power line. Folks, do us a favor. After a storm or an accident, stay at home. Stay at school, stay at work. Any one of those wires could be energized at 7,200 volts, even a phone wire, a cable television wire. So let's make sure we stay away from all wires that are down after a storm or an accident. Let our emergency responders get out there and let our utilities get out there and make those situations safe. We're going to change this voltage now. The first thing I'm going to do is make a couple little alligator clip changes so we can change the voltage. We're going to take 120 volts of electricity and we're going to step it up to 7,200 volts electricity. Any one of you that owns a generator, if you hook up that generator without a UL listed and approved transfer device and you accidentally backfeed 120 volts to the power company transformer, to step it up to 7,200 volts electricity. You kill off your neighbor trimming a tree. You kill off an emergency responder. You kill off a lineman with generator backfeed. When there's a fatality, there's a big investigation. So, and we're going to find you. So do us a really big favor, folks. If you can afford the generator, you can afford the proper transfer switch. UL list and approve, so we're all protected. Pulling the meter, shutting breakers off, pulling wires out is not a UL list and approve transfer switch, and you can really get somebody hurt or killed. We're going to get the switches closed back in, see if we can get the lights back on. You guys, I want you to imagine, you pull up on Laura's car accident, and you're like, man, that young lady's hurt really bad. I know there's no electricity. The lights are off. You think you're going to help her. So you go to open up her car door. About the time you open up her car door, this circuit breaker goes click. Now listen, it's real quiet. Click. That light comes on. That's your light going out. You just got electrocuted by 7,200 volts. Folks, do us a favor. When that wire's down, whether it's a car accident or storm, stay away from it. We do not know what's hot and what's not till we get out there and de-energize and ground it as linemen. And us linemen don't trust these circuit breakers. We live by this yellow bumper sticker that says, if it's not grounded, it's not dead. Otherwise, we don't live too long. That porch light's 120 volts electricity. How many volts of electricity are up here? You can't hear it, smell it, see it. When I touch that wire, nothing happens. But look what's protecting me. All my safety equipment, my training. What protects the bird down here? Well, the bird's on one wire, one voltage, and not a path to ground. But my little bird decides to eat the ladybug on the back side of the insulator. So he reaches over, he pecks that ladybug. Woo! Wow. Hey, Sarah, you want to hold on to that wire for me now? I don't think so. You guys, tell you what, that's nothing. Our 7,200 volt system is actually much worse than that right there. That's enough to give you an idea how deadly high voltage can be. So you guys, how do us human beings ever create that bright blue flash? It's actually quite simple. It's things we raise up in the air. The crane, the hi-ho, the tall piece of farm equipment, you know, the ladder at home, and we love our kids. We buy them a swimming pool. We give them a metal handle to clean the pool. Well, runs right across the backyard. The electric service wire. Inside each one of these black plastic coated wires is 120 volts electricity. The problem is the squirrels chew that plastic coating off. The tree rubs off the plastic coating on this wire that's going to your house. And then the kid accidentally bumps that metal handle into that bare spot. Could it be deadly? You betcha. Do me a favor. If there's a wire above your pool, let's bury it. Let's put the wire underground, not a human being. Now, instead of using this as a swimming pool skimmer, we're going to use it today as a crane. Sir, what's your first name? Paul and I are out on a construction site working. I raise that crane up in the air about 80 feet. I lower a steel winch line down to Paul. He gets it hooked onto the steel I-beam. He says, okay, Kyle, pick it up. So I raise it up. He says, swing it around to the south, a little farther, a little farther. Paul is walking along, holding on to the end of that steel I-beam, guiding it. I bump that crane into the 7,200 volt power line. Wow. Wind's blowing a little bit more. Paul, you reckon you survived that? 7,200 volts electricity through this guy's body at the speed of light. You guys, what I have right here in my hand is where a wire fell to the ground, melted the sand in the ground into glass. It takes 5,000 degrees of heat to melt sand into glass. The arc that went through this guy's body could have reached a temperature of 35,000 degrees. That's 7 times what it takes to do that right there. It burns up bone and body tissue for up to 48 hours afterward. If he did survive this, they amputate body parts for 1 to 2 weeks afterwards. You know what? He didn't survive this. There was a job site fatality. Would OSHA investigate a job site fatality? Yeah. OSHA says very clearly, no raised up, elevated piece of equipment shall come within 10 feet of that 7,200 volt power line. That's 10 feet beside it, below it, above it. And for you operators, the OSHA 2011 changes made it 20 feet for crane operators. We've got to make sure we keep those big pieces of equipment farther away. But you guys, for most of us contractor stuff, 10-foot minimum distance, that 7,200 volt power line. How about us farmers? Are we closer than that? Oh yeah. You guys, we need to stay farther than 10 feet away from that 7,200 volt line with all equipment when we raise it up. Now, to help you guys understand this, I see we got some farmers in the crowd. We drive underneath the neutral to pull into a field. Vehicle in transit only has to be 4 feet away from the 7,200 volts in transit. So as you go underneath the neutral in the system out there, you're okay. What happens when we unfold something? We get insanely close. Let's make sure we do keep that 10-foot minimum distance, and cranes, it's 20 foot or greater. We're going to open up the fuse door here, shut my porch light off. All right, as we shut that porch light off, young man, do me a favor. Come on up here. Hustle up here. Leave everything right there. Come on, right here. What's your first name? Ryan? Hold on to that for me. Ryan gets a balloon here at the fair and stuff, and so when Ryan gets home, he gets out of the car. Now stand right there, you're fine. He gets home, he walks up to the house with his balloon. His balloon touches the electric wires going into the corner of the house. You guys see the sparkles going around the outside of the edge of that balloon? Yeah, now hold on to that, Ryan. You're fine. Stand right there, good and strong. You're fine. You guys, when we go back to Sarah's car accident, I told her to stay in the vehicle. The electrons flow on the outside of our wires. You cannot see the electrons on the outside of our wires. Can you see the electrons on the outside of her car, on the outside of the crane, the combine? But you guys, could we see the electrons on the outside of Ryan's balloon? Yeah. These balloons are nothing more than aluminum foil that's painted. That's a metal balloon. And then we attach a Mylar metallic ribbon that's painted. It could be a red ribbon, pink ribbon, black ribbon, but it's a Mylar ribbon. What happens is we wrap that around a kid's wrist, tie a knot in it, put it in a child's hand as they walk up to the house. Maybe they touch the bare wire. What if they're in the garage and there's a bare wire? They're a path to ground. Don't ever put a metal ribbon on any balloon with helium whatsoever. Now, Ryan, hold on to this. I tell him when he gets done with this thing, poke a hole in it, throw it away. He's like, no way, don't destroy my cool balloon. It wants to fly away. So this young man opens up the door, lets the balloon go. The balloon flies away. All right, Ryan, go back and have a seat right there. All right, this balloon flies away. Is it gonna come back down? You betcha. About 2 or 3 days later, the helium gas gets out of this balloon. It floats into your power company substation transformer, 69,000 volts electricity as it lands on that transformer. You guys, that 99-cent balloon just caused an arc in a substation that cascades through that substation. It can destroy a $1 million transformer in that substation. Shut the power off to the hospital, the factories, your homes, businesses. We get alignment of that substation. We find the transformer's been destroyed. Can we replace that transformer in 20 minutes? Takes about 4 or 5 days to change out a substation transformer, and it costs a whole lot of money. We find the cause of this outage. We find what's left of maybe a balloon, a ribbon, and you know what, folks? There's a real cute card. It's got your name and address. Who wants to pay for that? I don't think any of us do. How do we really pay for this? You all pay for it when you pay a monthly power bill, so do us a favor. Don't release these for vacation Bible school, birthday parties, wedding parties, and quit tying them to the mailbox, because when the ribbon breaks and that balloon floats off, do me a favor. You know, where's it gonna land? In our power lines or substations once in a while. So do me a favor. Poke a hole in them, throw them away. Let's not tie them outdoors. Let's not release them outdoors. Sir, come on up here and give me a hand. Come on up. What's your first name?
Jim.
What is it?
Jim.
Jim. You guys, you know, we're always asking a friend or a neighbor for something or whatever. And let's say my buddy Jim comes over and says, hey, Kyle, I need to trim the tree in my backyard. Let me borrow your aluminum extension ladder. I don't own one of these, but in this case, Jim borrows an aluminum extension ladder, all right? So I'll tell you what, Jim, as he grabs that ladder up and he marches across the yard, he shoves the ladder up in the air. Do me a favor, raise one finger up in the air, just one. Now you guys take a look at Jim's finger. Take a look at that hot dog. Kind of similar, about the same size, same shape. Now put your finger back down, Jim. Now let's just figure all of you guys here at the Illinois State Fair, when you bite into that corn dog, as you eat that hot dog, I want you to think of Jim's finger as you eat the hot dog. Why? What's inside Jim's finger? What's inside that hot dog? Same thing. Little meat, little fat, little bone, little hair, little gristle. 49-cent package of hot dogs. Have you ever read the label? Don't. No, I'm teasing you. The reason I use a hot dog, it looks a lot like a human finger. I want you to imagine Jim shoves the aluminum extension ladder up in the air. This is his right hand, left hand. Contact's made. Jim, step out there just a little bit right there. That's fine right there. This is Jim's right hand, left hand. That ladder bumps into the 7200 volt power line. One more time. You guys, it'd be much worse than what we did right there. Jim falls lifelessly to the ground. Maybe out my picture window at home, I see my brother, my friend, a neighbor electrocuted. Why? That wire that's up there. I want every one of you to hear this statement, and don't you ever forget this statement. Before you ever raise anything up in the air, you use what the good Lord gave you, your brain and your eyeballs, and you look up. Because if you don't look up for that wire, is that wire always looking down for a path to ground? You betcha. And Jim, I don't think you want to be 6 foot deep, do you?
Not yet.
Think about that aluminum extension ladder on the fire truck. Kind of a dangerous tool, isn't it, if we're talking about electricity. There you go. You guys tell you what, give Jim a big round of applause. Thank you very much. We're going to do one last thing. We're going to get the safety unit shut off. For those of you that were here at the beginning of the program, my little squirrel caused kind of a massive explosion. Kids, don't plug your ears. Trust me on this. This one's a little bit different. This is what we call Rocky, the famous fire-breathing squirrel. Woo! Now, one more quick one. Why'd that line fuse not explode this time? Well, it's simple. I changed the fuse out. I put a bigger fuse in. Guess what? The power company fuses, the power company breakers are not designed to protect you. If you cause the fuse to blow, if you cause the breaker to trip, it's too late for you. 7,200 volts of electricity has been through your body at speed of light. Who's going to protect you from electricity? You are. You better understand it, you better respect it, and you better never create a path to ground. Now, folks, here at the State Fair, I've got 2 more shows today. I've got a 4 o'clock and a 6:30. I noticed Carly and the girls over there, Carly, you've got bags, backpack bags. Let me, here, tell you what, hand me one of those so we can show them. You guys, what we do, because we can't afford to do this, I should say the Energy Education Council for everybody at the fair. So the people that stop by to watch the show, they get a gift from them. So if you want one of the backpack, oh, better turn around, one of the backpack bags, stop by the table over there. The girls will get out on the sidewalk, pass some of these out. And you guys, tell you what, don't bottle this message up inside. Pass it on. Most of your friends and neighbors, Sarah, if you'd ask them if the wire falls on the car, they think it's the rubber tires protecting them. What's really protecting them is an education. You teach them. Stay in the car, because most cases the safest place to be is in that car. Let's give the Energy Education Council a big round of applause. Have a great and safe day. Thank you very much. Thank you.